The sun had barely risen over the rugged hills of the Yangtze River Delta when the mighty warriors of the Sun family set their eyes on a future that would forever alter the course of history. In the late Eastern Han Dynasty, China was in turmoil, with its once mighty imperial power crumbling under the weight of corruption, rebellion, and warlords vying for control. It was a time of uncertainty, but also one of tremendous potential. A time when legends were made, not from the clash of swords alone, but from the indomitable strength of will and mind. And in this tumultuous era, the Sun family would rise, led by a charismatic and ambitious young man named Sun Tzu. Born into the powerful Sun family, Sun Tzu was the son of Sun Jian, a general known for his valor and military acumen. From an early age, Sun Tzu displayed a sharp mind, a fierce determination, and an unrelenting drive to succeed. His father's death in 191 AD left the young Sun Tzu to inherit a kingdom on the brink of collapse, a territory scattered with enemies both within and beyond the family's borders. But Sun Tzu was not one to shy away from a challenge. With his brother, Sun Quan, by his side, he embarked on a journey that would reshape the South and set the stage for the establishment of the Eastern Wu dynasty. Yet, as much as the Sun brothers shared a vision of power and greatness, it was Sun Tzu's wife, Lady Sun, who played a silent yet vital role in the shaping of their destiny. Behind the scenes, she would prove to be one of the greatest influencers in Sun Tzu's life, her wisdom and counsel helping him navigate the dangerous waters of war, diplomacy, and governance. Her name, though often overshadowed by the grander figures of history, would be remembered as one that carried not only the weight of a family's survival but also the seeds of its future glory. Born into a noble family of the Sun clan, Lady Sun, known as Sun Xian, was a woman of grace, intellect, and unparalleled resolve. She was a daughter of a powerful household, well-versed in the art of diplomacy and governance, but above all, she possessed an understanding of the delicate balance between politics and power, a skill that would later prove invaluable to her husband. Her marriage to Sun Tzu, though founded on more than just affection, was a union forged by the circumstances of the time. It was a political alliance that promised mutual strength, but it was also a bond that would deepen into one of mutual respect and influence. In the early days of their marriage, Lady Sun was far more than just a wife to Sun Tzu. She was his confidant, his advisor, and, in many ways, the unseen force behind his military and political decisions. While Sun Tzu's name became synonymous with military brilliance and courage, it was Lady Sun's steady presence that allowed him to focus on the battlefield, knowing that his interests at home and in the courts were being skillfully managed. She was the silent pillar upon which the foundations of the Sun family's empire would rest. As the years passed, the Sun family's power grew in the south, and with it, the influence of Lady Sun. But this was not a smooth journey. The rise of the Sun clan was marked by conflicts, betrayals, and complex alliances, all of which would test the Sun family's resolve. Lady Sun, however, faced these challenges with a steady hand. She was not a passive figure but an active participant in the shaping of the Sun family's destiny, often playing the role of mediator in moments of political strife and family discord. Her wisdom would prove indispensable during the early years of Sun Tzu's military campaigns. It was Lady Sun who often helped negotiate alliances with other warlords and strategists, using her connections and understanding of the political landscape to forge strong bonds. She was not just a symbol of grace and beauty but a formidable force in her own right, wielding influence in court and battlefields alike. One of the earliest instances where Lady Sun's influence became evident was in the alliance with Zhou Yu, a brilliant strategist who would later become Sun Tzu's trusted general and close friend. Though Sun Tzu and Zhou Yu shared a deep respect for one another, it was Lady Sun who facilitated the relationship between the two men, ensuring that the partnership would remain strong and loyal throughout the years. This alliance would become crucial during the pivotal moments that followed, including the infamous Battle of Red Cliffs, where Sun Tzu and his allies would face off against the forces of Cao Cao, one of the most powerful warlords of the time. Lady Sun's role was not just that of a political advisor. She was also deeply involved in the social and cultural life of the Sun family. Her presence in the household helped establish a sense of unity and strength, allowing the family to function as both a political and familial unit. She was the mother of Sun Tzu's children and the guardian of their lineage, ensuring that her children were raised with the same sense of ambition, loyalty, and strategic thinking that marked the Sun family's legacy. But as Sun Tzu's influence grew, so too did the challenges that came with power. Political rivalries escalated, and the young warlord was forced to make tough decisions that would shape the future of the South. Throughout these trials, Lady Sun remained by his side, providing unwavering support and guidance. Even in the most trying of times, when Sun Tzu faced betrayal and rebellion from within his own ranks, it was Lady Sun who helped him navigate the treacherous waters of politics and war. As Sun Tzu's influence continued to expand, so did the challenges he faced. The turbulent environment of the late Eastern Han Dynasty presented numerous political and military obstacles. War, famine, and internal strife were constant threats, and to secure the future of his family and kingdom, Sun Tzu had to make decisions that would cement his legacy. Lady Sun, though not always in the public eye, had a profound influence behind the scenes. Her role as a quiet yet strategic partner allowed Sun Tzu to focus on his military campaigns while knowing that his household, and by extension his rule, was being expertly managed. Lady Sun was instrumental in fostering relationships with key figures in the region, and her ability to navigate the often treacherous politics of the time was unmatched. While Sun Tzu was primarily known for his military prowess and his bold actions on the battlefield, it was Lady Sun who ensured that his strategies had the support of the people and the necessary alliances. She was a master of diplomacy, securing important pacts with other warlords, while also maintaining the internal stability of the Sun family. In a time when trust was hard to come by, Lady Sun's intelligence and poise made her an indispensable figure in Sun Tzu's court. Her diplomatic skills came to the forefront during one of the most critical periods in Sun Tzu's early rise to power, the Battle of Red Cliffs. This battle would become a defining moment for the Sun family and would change the course of Chinese history. But before the battle, there were months of negotiation, preparation, and delicate diplomacy. It was Lady Sun who played a key role in ensuring that the alliances with Liu Bei and other regional leaders were solidified, preparing Sun Tzu for the ultimate confrontation with Cao Cao. Cao Cao, the powerful warlord from the north, was a constant threat to Sun Tzu's ambitions. With his vast army and strategic brilliance, Cao Cao was the greatest rival the Sun family would face. But Lady Sun knew that to defeat Cao Cao, they needed more than just military strength. They needed unity, trust, and careful planning. She worked tirelessly to ensure that Sun Tzu's allies were steadfast and that their forces were ready for the impending battle. The Battle of Red Cliffs, fought in the winter of 208 AD, would become one of the most famous engagements in Chinese history. The combined forces of Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, under the leadership of Zhou Yu and others, clashed with Cao Cao's superior army. The battle was not just a test of military might but of strategy, and it was during this time that Sun Tzu's leadership and Lady Sun's quiet influence truly shone. Though Lady Sun was not physically present on the battlefield, her presence was felt in every decision that was made. As Sun Tzu led his forces with valor, Lady Sun remained at the forefront of political strategy. Her ability to mediate and negotiate ensured that Sun Tzu's forces were united, and the alliances that were formed in the lead-up to the battle proved to be the key to victory. Zhou Yu, the brilliant strategist, would go on to implement one of the most famous naval strategies in history, sinking Cao Cao's fleet and securing a crucial victory. But behind every decision, behind every maneuver, Lady Sun's quiet influence was there, shaping the course of the battle. The victory at Red Cliffs marked the beginning of a new era for Sun Tzu and the Sun family. But the battle was not just a military success, it was a testament to the strategic planning and collaboration that Lady Sun had fostered. Without her influence, the victory might not have been possible. Her ability to read the political landscape and guide Sun Tzu through delicate negotiations had secured the Sun family a place at the table of the three kingdoms. As Sun Tzu's power grew in the aftermath of Red Cliffs, so did the complexity of the political landscape. Rivalries continued to brew, and the Sun family's position was never fully secure. Yet, throughout these trials, Lady Sun remained a constant figure of wisdom and strength. Her support was unwavering, and her influence over Sun Tzu's decisions remained undeniable. One of the greatest challenges faced by Sun Tzu in the years following Red Cliffs was the internal stability of his growing kingdom. With power came unrest, and Sun Tzu found himself constantly navigating the delicate balance between maintaining control and fostering loyalty. It was in these moments that Lady Sun's counsel proved invaluable. Her understanding of human nature and the intricate dynamics of power allowed her to guide Sun Tzu through these turbulent times. Lady Sun was not only a political advisor but also a protector of the Sun family's legacy. She understood the importance of securing the future of her children, particularly Sun Quan, who would one day inherit the mantle of leadership from his older brother. Throughout Sun Tzu's reign, Lady Sun worked tirelessly to ensure that the next generation was prepared for the challenges ahead. She nurtured Sun Quan's leadership skills, instilling in him the same strategic thinking that had defined Sun Tzu's rise to power. But even as Lady Sun shaped the future of her children and the Sun family, there were personal sacrifices she had to make. The political landscape was unforgiving, and every decision came with consequences. Lady Sun's influence, though strong, was not always appreciated by all members of the family. As Sun Tzu's ambitions grew, so did the tensions within the family, and Lady Sun found herself in the difficult position of balancing loyalty to her husband with the complexities of family politics. Despite these challenges, Lady Sun's impact on the Sun family and on Sun Tzu's career remained undeniable. She was the glue that held the family together, the steady hand that guided them through the darkest moments. As Sun Tzu's reign continued, Lady Sun's role only grew more significant, and her influence would continue to shape the future of the Southern Kingdom. As the winds of the turbulent late Han dynasty swept across the land, many noble families clung to whatever power they could muster in a time of imminent collapse. Among these families was the Sun family, whose fate was inextricably linked with the events that were about to unfold. It was within the shadow of this great empire's fall that the young Sun Tzu was born, destined to leave an indelible mark on history. Sun Tzu's early years were marked by the kind of turbulence that defined his entire life. Born in 175 AD, he was the son of Sun Jian, a distinguished general who had served the Han court with valor and loyalty. From a young age, Sun Tzu was exposed to the harsh realities of war and the political intricacies of imperial China. His father's legacy was one of service to the emperor, but it was also one of ambition and boldness, traits that Sun Tzu would inherit in abundance. The fall of the Eastern Han dynasty and the subsequent chaos created the perfect environment for warlords to rise to prominence. But before Sun Tzu could truly take charge of his destiny, a tragedy struck the Sun family. In 191 AD, Sun Jian was killed in battle, leaving the young Sun Tzu to inherit the responsibility of leading his family and their followers. At just 16 years old, Sun Tzu was thrust into a world of political maneuvering and military conflict that few would have been able to survive, let alone thrive in. It was during this critical time that Lady Sun, then known as Sun Xian, emerged as a stabilizing force in Sun Tzu's life. Though they had married at a young age, it was clear that Lady Sun was more than just a companion. She was a partner in the truest sense of the word. Her calm demeanor and sharp intellect made her an invaluable asset to Sun Tzu, especially in the early years of his leadership. She did not have the public stature of her husband, nor did she command an army like he did, but she wielded influence in ways that shaped the very course of the Sun family's future. As Sun Tzu navigated the political and military landscape left by his father's death, he found that alliances would be key to his survival. It was Lady Sun's wisdom in courtly matters that allowed him to build a network of influential supporters, both within his own family and beyond. Lady Sun, understanding the necessity of strong relationships, helped negotiate alliances with other local leaders and warlords, ensuring that Sun Tzu's power base expanded rather than crumbled. She was the unseen hand that guided her husband through these delicate negotiations, always working behind the scenes to secure a foothold for their future. The role of women in the military and political life of the time was often underestimated, but Lady Sun was an exception. While Sun Tzu fought on the front lines, Lady Sun was often engaged in the affairs of the court, managing diplomatic relations and ensuring that her husband's policies were upheld. She understood that leadership was not just about military victories, it was about securing the loyalty of the people and forging lasting alliances. One of the first signs of Lady Sun's influence came during a period of internal strife within Sun Tzu's ranks. As Sun Tzu began consolidating his power in the Jiangdong region, he faced numerous challenges from rivals both within the Sun family and from external enemies. His claim to leadership was challenged, and the fear of rebellion grew. It was Lady Sun who was instrumental in negotiating peace and settling disputes, calming tensions within the family and ensuring that Sun Tzu's rule remained unchallenged. Her ability to mediate between differing factions was key to maintaining stability, and she worked tirelessly to keep Sun Tzu focused on the broader goal of securing their family's position. Her guidance was not limited to family matters. As Sun Tzu began to expand his territory, he sought the assistance of various local warlords and strategists. Lady Sun, ever the diplomat, used her influence to foster relationships with figures such as Zhou Yu, a military strategist who would later become one of Sun Tzu's most trusted generals. While Sun Tzu's reputation as a bold and charismatic leader earned him many allies, it was Lady Sun who helped navigate the complexities of diplomacy, ensuring that Sun Tzu had the support he needed to maintain his military campaigns. Sun Tzu's ambitions were vast. He sought not only to avenge his father's death but also to carve out a lasting legacy for his family. As he ventured further into the heart of the Jiangdong region, he faced formidable opponents, most notably the warlord Cao Cao, whose forces loomed large in the northern reaches of China. In the early years of his rise, Sun Tzu was forced to rely on quick thinking, military innovation, and the strategic alliances that Lady Sun helped secure. While Sun Tzu's campaigns were filled with daring exploits and tactical brilliance, it was his wife's steady guidance that kept him grounded, reminding him of the importance of both loyalty and pragmatism. The Sun family's hold over the region was solidified as Sun Tzu gradually expanded his control over cities and strategic locations. But the young warlord's rise to power was not without its dangers. Rivals from all sides attempted to undermine him, and internal disputes threatened to tear apart his fragile rule. Throughout these turbulent times, Lady Sun remained a constant figure of wisdom and strength. Her ability to remain calm under pressure and her strategic thinking in times of crisis helped Sun Tzu navigate these challenges. She was a master at ensuring that the Sun family remained united, even when external forces sought to divide them. Despite the challenges that lay before him, Sun Tzu's leadership began to take shape. As he secured victories in battle, expanded his territory, and gained the loyalty of local leaders, his name became synonymous with ambition and courage. But behind every victory was Lady Sun, working tirelessly to ensure that Sun Tzu had the support he needed to succeed. In this early phase of Sun Tzu's rise, her influence on both his military and political decisions was immeasurable. With each passing day, Sun Tzu's power grew, and with it, the stakes. The future of the Sun family seemed ever more promising, but the road ahead was fraught with danger. Sun Tzu was a young man, still learning the ways of leadership. But Lady Sun's quiet strength and wisdom guided him every step of the way. As the Sun family began to carve out its place in the chaotic landscape of the Three Kingdoms period, Lady Sun's role became increasingly clear. She was not just the wife of a great warlord, but a force in her own right, shaping the destiny of her family and the future of the South. The years that followed would test Sun Tzu's leadership like never before. As the Sun family's influence expanded, so did the complexities of maintaining that power. Lady Sun's role in these developments would prove even more critical as new alliances were forged, new enemies made, and new challenges arose. But through it all, she remained steadfast, her influence guiding Sun Tzu's decisions, ensuring that his rule would continue to thrive. As Sun Tzu's influence in the Jiangdong region grew, so did the complexity of the political landscape around him. With each conquest, he forged new alliances, but he also stirred the enmity of powerful enemies. Sun Tzu's name spread across the southern regions, and with it the promise of both victory and inevitable conflict. However, amid this growth, Lady Sun's role remained constant, guiding her husband with the wisdom and foresight that allowed him to navigate the shifting tides of fate. While Sun Tzu was preoccupied with military campaigns, Lady Sun's responsibilities expanded to encompass the governance of their lands, diplomacy with neighboring factions, and the subtle manipulation of alliances that would secure their place in the future. She was instrumental in making sure the territory was well managed, ensuring that local officials were loyal and that the people were properly cared for. Sun Tzu, recognizing her intelligence and competence, came to rely on her advice more than ever during these formative years. As the tensions between the warlords of China escalated, Sun Tzu found himself forced to confront an increasingly ambitious enemy, Cao Cao. A charismatic and ruthless strategist, Cao Cao had already united much of northern China under his banner. His plans to dominate the entire empire seemed inevitable, and Sun Tzu knew that to secure his family's future, he would need to align himself with other powerful factions, most notably Liu Bei, a fellow warlord who, like Sun Tzu, had seen the decline of the Han dynasty as an opportunity to carve out his own legacy. It was during this period that Lady Sun's diplomatic acumen truly shone. The relationship between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei had the potential to be both an alliance of necessity and a genuine partnership. However, alliances in the three kingdoms were often frail and fickle, held together more by the whims of powerful leaders than by any deep sense of trust. Lady Sun, knowing the volatile nature of the era, worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that the alliance between her husband and Liu Bei was strengthened. While the men exchanged strategies and military tactics, it was Lady Sun who brokered meetings, smoothed out the edges of potential discord, and ensured that mutual benefit was always the primary goal of their cooperation. Her negotiations were critical during this time as they allowed Sun Tzu to focus on the more pressing matters of defense and expansion. Through Lady Sun's influence, Sun Tzu gained valuable intelligence about the movements of Cao Cao's forces, allowing him to prepare for future confrontations. However, as Sun Tzu's forces expanded and the stakes grew ever higher, the challenges to their power also multiplied. Cao Cao's forces, though momentarily stalled, were never fully deterred, and his ambition to control the south would remain a constant threat to the Sun family. Lady Sun's role in Sun Tzu's growing kingdom was not limited to political maneuvering. Her understanding of the human element, the delicate balance of power, loyalty, and ambition allowed her to foresee the consequences of Sun Tzu's decisions. Her influence was especially apparent in the difficult choices Sun Tzu had to make when dealing with internal family politics. There were moments when Sun Tzu's vision and ambition clashed with those of his brother, Sun Quan, who was still a young man and would one day inherit the leadership of the Sun family. The political stakes were high, and the internal divisions had the potential to tear apart their unity. But it was Lady Sun, with her steady guidance, who ensured that the family remained unified. She mediated disputes, made sure both brothers understood the necessity of cooperation, and kept the familial bonds strong. At the same time, Lady Sun also understood the importance of securing the future of her children. The survival of the Sun family depended not only on Sun Tzu's ability to lead but also on the continued strength of the next generation. She devoted much of her time to educating her sons, particularly Sun Quan, teaching them the principles of leadership, diplomacy, and strategy. She believed that Sun Quan had the potential to one day lead their family with the same strength and vision as his older brother. As Sun Tzu's military campaigns intensified, Lady Sun remained a steady presence in the background, preparing Sun Quan for the heavy mantle of leadership that would one day fall upon him. Her efforts to shape the next generation were not confined to Sun Tzu's children alone. Lady Sun also sought to ensure the loyalty of her allies and subjects, understanding that the strength of a kingdom lay not only in its leaders but in the hearts and minds of the people. She invested in fostering loyalty through both personal relationships and strategic alliances, ensuring that Sun Tzu's rule was supported by a strong network of generals, advisors, and local leaders. Her influence reached far beyond the court of Sun Tzu, and her efforts helped to establish the stability necessary for Sun Tzu to continue his military endeavors without the constant threat of rebellion from within. However, despite the best efforts of Lady Sun, the Sun family's power was not without its rivals. While Cao Cao was the immediate threat, Sun Tzu had to contend with other warlords who sought to control the southern lands. Among them was the formidable Yuan Shao, a northern warlord who had long been a rival of Cao Cao. While Sun Tzu had managed to navigate the shifting alliances and power struggles of the time, it was clear that the world of the three kingdoms was one where even the smallest misstep could lead to catastrophic consequences. Sun Tzu and Lady Sun knew that they had to constantly adapt to the changing tides, securing their place through careful maneuvering and decisive action. It was at this point that Sun Tzu's leadership truly began to shine. His military campaigns were swift and decisive, and his ability to make quick decisions on the battlefield was admired by both allies and enemies alike. But it was Lady Sun who kept his vision grounded, reminding him of the greater purpose behind each victory: to establish a lasting and stable kingdom for their family. While Sun Tzu's victories on the battlefield earned him accolades and renown, it was Lady Sun's steady hand in the court that ensured those victories translated into lasting political influence. As Sun Tzu continued to expand his territory and power, the Sun family became a force to be reckoned with in southern China. Yet, with every victory, the challenges grew greater. The internal politics, external threats, and the constant need for strategic alliances kept Sun Tzu on edge. But Lady Sun, with her unparalleled diplomatic skills, her deep understanding of loyalty, and her unwavering support of her husband, was a constant source of strength for him. And so, the early years of Sun Tzu's reign, though marked by strife and struggle, were also defined by Lady Sun's quiet but profound influence. She shaped not only the trajectory of Sun Tzu's rule, but also the future of the Sun family. Together, they navigated the complexities of power and politics, and it was their shared vision and determination that laid the foundation for the legacy of the Eastern Wu dynasty. The dust of battle had barely settled across the southern lands of China when Sun Tzu, with his indomitable will and fierce ambition, began to lay the groundwork for a new power in the south. With the death of his father, Sun Jian, the young warlord had inherited a legacy filled with both promise and peril. The Sun family had the potential to rise and claim its place in the fractured world of the Three Kingdoms, but only if Sun Tzu could outmaneuver his rivals and navigate the complex web of political alliances and military conflicts that defined the era. Lady Sun, ever the quiet but potent force behind her husband, had already begun to establish her own influence in the growing kingdom. As Sun Tzu's power expanded, so too did the challenges they faced, both from external enemies and internal divisions. With every new victory, new opportunities arose, but so did new threats. It was clear that to establish a lasting dynasty, Sun Tzu needed more than just military victories. He needed a network of loyal supporters both among the generals and the local officials, as well as the common people. And it was in these early years of Sun Tzu's rule that Lady Sun's political astuteness and diplomatic skills would prove indispensable. While Sun Tzu's military exploits were gaining him recognition across the region, Lady Sun's influence extended into the heart of their kingdom's administration. She was not just a passive observer of the power struggles that unfolded around her. She actively shaped the governance of the territories Sun Tzu had conquered. The couple, though politically astute in different ways, understood that the foundation of their power was not just in the armies they led but in the stability of their kingdom. This required a balance of power between military might, political alliances, and economic prosperity. Lady Sun was instrumental in the appointment of local leaders who could be trusted to uphold Sun Tzu's vision for a unified and prosperous southern kingdom. She understood the importance of loyalty, and through her influence, she ensured that key positions in the kingdom were filled by those who would support the Sun family's long-term goals. In many ways, Lady Sun acted as a stabilizing force, preventing the kingdom from fracturing under internal pressure and enabling Sun Tzu to focus on military expansion. Her role was that of a mediator and advisor, someone who could read the room, understand the unspoken politics, and ensure that Sun Tzu's allies remained loyal. The political structure of the Sun family was still in its infancy, but Lady Sun's wisdom allowed Sun Tzu to lay the first stone in what would eventually become the Eastern Wu dynasty. This dynasty, though still in its formative years, was quickly becoming a powerful rival to the forces of Cao Cao in the north and Liu Bei in the west. As Sun Tzu expanded his territory, Lady Sun's role became more critical, particularly in the formation of strategic alliances with other regional warlords who, like Sun Tzu, sought to challenge the declining Han Empire. One of the most pivotal moments in the formation of the Sun clan's power came during the campaign to seize control of the city of Jiangxia. This city, located near the Yangtze River, was a key strategic location for any warlord seeking dominance over the southern lands. It was also home to several powerful families who were aligned with Cao Cao and other northern warlords. Sun Tzu knew that if he could capture Jiangxia, he would not only secure a key military stronghold but also solidify his position as the undisputed ruler of the southern lands. Yet, taking Jiangxia was no easy feat, and it required more than just military prowess. It was here that Lady Sun's diplomatic influence was most crucial. As Sun Tzu prepared to lead his forces into the heart of Jiangxia, Lady Sun worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that the local families and leaders were either brought into the fold or neutralized. Through careful negotiation and a mixture of persuasion and force, she managed to secure the loyalty of key factions, allowing Sun Tzu to march on Jiangxia with a united front. The siege was swift and decisive, and Jiangxia fell to Sun Tzu's forces. But it was Lady Sun's guidance that had ensured the city's capture was not only a military victory but a political one as well. With Jiangxia in their hands, Sun Tzu and Lady Sun cemented their control over the southern regions of China, laying the foundation for the Sun family's future empire. The city became a vital hub for trade, military strategy, and political influence. It was from here that Sun Tzu would launch many of his campaigns, but it was also from here that Lady Sun would continue to shape the political landscape, fostering relationships with the local leaders and ensuring the loyalty of those who had been brought into the Sun family's sphere of influence. At the same time, the alliance between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, though initially forged out of necessity, began to evolve into a more lasting and genuine partnership. Both men had much to gain from each other, but their cooperation was fragile and subject to the changing tides of war. It was Lady Sun's diplomatic efforts that played a key role in maintaining the strength of this alliance. She understood the importance of trust between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, and she worked diligently to ensure that any potential rifts between them were smoothed over. This alliance would prove crucial in the upcoming battles against Cao Cao, who continued to expand his forces and grow more formidable with each passing year. As Sun Tzu's kingdom began to take shape, Lady Sun's influence expanded beyond the political and military realms. She was also a mother, and her children would one day be the heirs to this burgeoning dynasty. Lady Sun's role as a mother was just as critical to the success of the Sun family as her role as a political strategist. She was dedicated to ensuring that her children, particularly Sun Quan, were raised with the same understanding of leadership and diplomacy that had guided her own actions. Sun Quan, though still a young boy, showed great promise, and Lady Sun took great care in nurturing his growth, both as a leader and as a strategist. She knew that Sun Tzu's reign would eventually pass, and it was her responsibility to ensure that the next generation was prepared to carry the Sun family's legacy forward. The continued growth of Sun Tzu's power did not come without its challenges. However, internal divisions within the family, coupled with the ever-present threat of external forces, meant that Sun Tzu and Lady Sun could never afford to relax. The stakes were high, and every decision carried the potential to reshape the course of history. Yet, through it all, Lady Sun remained a constant source of support for her husband. She offered counsel during moments of doubt, strategized behind closed doors, and worked tirelessly to ensure that Sun Tzu's vision for their kingdom remained intact. As the years passed, the Sun family continued to grow in power, and with each victory, Sun Tzu and Lady Sun took one step closer to realizing their vision of a unified southern kingdom. But the road ahead was long, and the challenges would only grow more difficult as new enemies emerged and alliances shifted. In the midst of these trials, Lady Sun's wisdom and strength would continue to be the guiding force behind the Sun family's success. As the winds of war howled across the land, a storm of ambition and conflict brewed that would shape the future of China for centuries to come. In the year 208 AD, the forces of the Sun family stood on the precipice of a momentous clash that would not only define their future but also alter the very course of Chinese history. The Battle of Red Cliffs, one of the most famous battles in the Three Kingdoms era, would come to symbolize the struggle for control over China's fractured empire. Yet, as with every pivotal moment in history, it was not just the warriors on the front lines who shaped the outcome, but the unseen hands that guided them from behind the scenes. For Sun Tzu and his wife, Lady Sun, this battle would be the culmination of years of political maneuvering, military strategy, and personal sacrifice. The alliance between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei had strengthened over the years, and as the forces of the northern warlord Cao Cao marched southward, it became clear that the Sun family and their allies would have to face a decisive battle to prevent the northern forces from gaining control over the entire empire. Lady Sun's influence during this period was immense. She was no longer just a political advisor or a diplomat. She was a force in her own right, managing not only her husband's political affairs but also the stability of the Sun family's reign. As Sun Tzu prepared for war, it was Lady Sun who ensured that the home front remained secure. Her efforts to maintain internal stability were crucial as Sun Tzu's forces mobilized for what would be one of the most significant battles of his career. The Battle of Red Cliffs was not just a contest of military strength, it was a test of alliances, strategy, and survival. Cao Cao, the leader of the northern warlords, had gathered an enormous army, seeking to sweep through the south and consolidate his control over all of China. His forces outnumbered those of Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, and many believed that the northern warlords' superior forces would make victory inevitable. However, it was in this moment of uncertainty that Lady Sun's presence and influence would prove invaluable. While Sun Tzu focused on the military aspects of the battle, preparing his forces for what seemed like an impossible conflict, Lady Sun worked behind the scenes to ensure that the alliances between the Sun family, Liu Bei, and other regional warlords remained intact. She understood that the survival of the Sun family depended not just on the strength of their armies but on the unity of their supporters. This unity was fragile, and the tensions between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, though subdued, were always present. It was Lady Sun's diplomacy and strategic thinking that kept the alliance strong and cohesive, even when disagreements arose. As the battle drew nearer, the strategic brilliance of Zhou Yu, Sun Tzu's trusted general and military strategist, began to take center stage. But even Zhou Yu's genius could not guarantee victory without the right support. Lady Sun, knowing the importance of morale and unity, worked tirelessly to ensure that the soldiers and leaders of the southern forces remained committed to the cause. She was, in a sense, the silent pillar upon which the alliance stood. Her influence ensured that Sun Tzu's forces were united and prepared for the massive struggle ahead. When the Battle of Red Cliffs finally began, it was clear that the Sun family's alliance was the key to the victory. With the combined forces of Sun Tzu, Liu Bei, and the brilliant strategies of Zhou Yu, the southern forces were able to use the terrain to their advantage, breaking Cao Cao's naval fleet and securing a decisive victory. The battle was a turning point in the Three Kingdoms period, as it effectively halted Cao Cao's expansion into the south and solidified Sun Tzu's control over the Jiangdong region. But despite the military triumph, the aftermath of the battle presented a new set of challenges. Cao Cao, though defeated, remained a powerful force in the north, and the Sun family knew that the war was far from over. For Sun Tzu and Lady Sun, the victory at Red Cliffs was only the beginning of the next phase in their struggle for dominance. The political and military landscape had shifted, but many dangers still lurked on the horizon. In the wake of their victory, Lady Sun continued to wield her influence over the political affairs of the kingdom. She worked to solidify the territorial gains made during the battle, ensuring that the newly acquired lands remained secure from potential uprisings or attacks. But perhaps the most pressing concern for the Sun family was the ongoing relationship with Liu Bei, their ally-turned-rival. While they had fought together against Cao Cao, the inherent tensions between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, both ambitious warlords in their own right, remained ever-present. Lady Sun, knowing the fragility of their alliance, continued to play the role of mediator between the two warlords. Her diplomatic skills, honed over the years of managing family and political affairs, allowed her to navigate the delicate balance between cooperation and rivalry. She encouraged both sides to remain focused on the greater goal, securing their regions and defeating Cao Cao. But she was also realistic, understanding that in the world of the Three Kingdoms, alliances were often temporary and the ambition of each warlord could quickly lead to betrayal. In the years following the Battle of Red Cliffs, Sun Tzu's power continued to grow, but so too did the complexity of his rule. His relationships with Liu Bei and Cao Cao remained tenuous, and the constant threat of rebellion from within his own ranks never subsided. Lady Sun's role in these years was as crucial as ever. As a mother to her children, particularly Sun Quan, who would one day inherit the leadership of the Sun family, she was preparing the next generation for the challenges they would inevitably face. She worked to instill in Sun Quan the leadership skills that would one day make him a capable ruler. But she also understood that Sun Tzu's reign would soon come to an end, and it would fall to her and Sun Quan to continue the family's legacy. But even as Sun Tzu's reign continued, the shadow of death loomed over him. The toll of years spent on the battlefield, combined with the constant stress of leadership, began to take its toll on the young warlord. As Sun Tzu struggled with his health, Lady Sun remained by his side, offering him not only support but also wisdom as they faced the uncertain future. She knew that the time was fast approaching when Sun Tzu would no longer be able to lead the Sun family, and it would be up to her and their children to carry on the legacy they had built together. In the cutthroat world of the Three Kingdoms, where loyalty was often fleeting and alliances could be shattered with a single betrayal, marriage was not merely a union of hearts but a strategic maneuver in the grand game of power. For Sun Tzu and Lady Sun, their marriage was not only a personal bond but also a key component in the expansion of the Sun family's political influence. Lady Sun, ever the astute diplomat, recognized early on that the strength of the Sun family could be measured not only in military might and territory but also in the alliances forged through marriage. These unions were essential in solidifying their place in the power structure of southern China, and Lady Sun played a pivotal role in ensuring that these marriages were more than mere formalities. As the Sun family expanded its territory, Sun Tzu knew that alliances with other influential families and warlords would be crucial to maintaining their power. The alliances, however, were not without their challenges. In a world where betrayal was commonplace, trust was a rare commodity. That's where Lady Sun's wisdom came into play. She understood the delicate balance of power that each marriage represented. For her, each union was not just a way to secure political ties, but a means of ensuring that the Sun family's interests were safeguarded for future generations. Lady Sun's marriage to Sun Tzu was, of course, the foundation of their political influence. But as the Sun family grew in power, it became increasingly clear that securing their future would require more than just one successful marriage. It was Lady Sun who understood the importance of marriage as a tool for political stability and expansion, and she was deeply involved in arranging alliances through marriage for the next generation. While Sun Tzu focused on consolidating power through military campaigns, Lady Sun's diplomatic skills were instrumental in orchestrating strategic marriages that would ensure the loyalty of key families and figures in the region. One of the first and most crucial alliances was formed through the marriage of Sun Tzu's siblings, particularly his sister. Lady Sun played an essential role in arranging these marriages, ensuring that the Sun family's network of alliances extended across key regions of southern China. It wasn't just the political landscape that Lady Sun had to manage. Her role as a mother to Sun Tzu's children, particularly to the young Sun Quan, was equally critical. She understood that the future of the Sun family would depend on the next generation, and as such, her focus was not only on securing immediate alliances but also on preparing her children for the responsibility that would one day fall upon them. Sun Quan, the second son, was a quiet and thoughtful child, often overshadowed by the boldness of his older brother. But Lady Sun saw in him the potential to lead. She nurtured his growth, making sure that he was equipped with the skills and temperament needed to one day inherit his father's mantle. The marriage arrangements she facilitated were not just political tools, they were a way of securing the family's future in the ever-changing world of the Three Kingdoms. As Sun Tzu's power continued to grow, the political landscape grew more complicated. The alliances formed through marriage allowed Sun Tzu to ensure that his rivals would not be able to gain traction in the south without facing fierce resistance from the Sun family. Lady Sun's influence on these unions was essential in building a network of loyalty and trust that would hold the family together in the years to come. But not all marriages were as straightforward as those between the Sun family and other regional warlords. Lady Sun's role in navigating these relationships was often fraught with complications, particularly when it came to her husband's ambitions. Sun Tzu's desire to expand his territory and power frequently clashed with the delicate balance of relationships he had built through marriage. Lady Sun, ever the diplomat, had to ensure that her husband's military campaigns did not disrupt the alliances that had been so carefully constructed. One such challenge came when Sun Tzu made the decision to expand his influence further into the heart of southern China, seeking to exert control over territories held by rival families. The rivalries and tensions that arose from these territorial disputes put Lady Sun in a difficult position. She knew that any overextension of Sun Tzu's power could jeopardize the alliances that had been forged through strategic marriages. At the same time, she understood that Sun Tzu's ambition was not something to be stifled. She worked to manage the fallout from these political maneuvers, ensuring that the Sun family's interests were protected, while also allowing Sun Tzu to pursue his grand vision. In these delicate moments, Lady Sun's role as both a wife and a political strategist became more pronounced. While Sun Tzu's military campaigns garnered him praise and admiration, it was Lady Sun's behind-the-scenes efforts that ensured the political stability of the family. Her ability to navigate complex situations, reconcile conflicting interests, and secure the future of the Sun family through marriage alliances was what truly set her apart as a key figure in the Three Kingdoms period. As Sun Tzu's reign grew more secure, Lady Sun's influence only expanded. Her ability to secure advantageous marriages for the family helped to establish a network of loyalty that stretched across the south, providing the Sun family with a sense of unity that few other warlords could boast. Her wisdom in these matters was unmatched, and her ability to wield this tool of political power was a testament to her skill and foresight. One of the most significant aspects of Lady Sun's legacy was her contribution to the shaping of Sun Quan's future. As the time drew near for Sun Tzu's eventual passing, it was Lady Sun who prepared her son to take on the mantle of leadership. She ensured that Sun Quan would be ready to lead the Sun family with the same strength and intelligence that had characterized his father's reign. Her influence over Sun Quan's education and upbringing, coupled with her ability to secure political alliances through marriage, would ensure that the Sun family's legacy would continue for generations to come. As Lady Sun's influence spread across the political and familial landscape, it became clear that her role in Sun Tzu's rise was far more than that of a passive observer. She was not merely the wife of a great warlord, she was a key strategist, a diplomat, and the mother of a future ruler. Her contributions were crucial in shaping the Sun family's place in the world of the Three Kingdoms, and without her guidance, the course of history would have been much different. The winds of fortune were fickle for Sun Tzu. His rise to power, swift and meteoric, had been marked by bold decisions, brilliant military strategies, and the kind of ambition that few in his generation could match. Yet, as the young warlord pressed forward, he found that the price of power was steep. Every victory on the battlefield brought new challenges, both from within his own ranks and from external forces that sought to undermine his growing authority. For Sun Tzu, the weight of leadership was a constant burden, and it was during these difficult times that the strength of his partnership with Lady Sun became even more apparent. She had long been the calm in the storm of his ambitions, but as his reign progressed, her influence over his decisions became even more crucial. The military campaigns that brought Sun Tzu so much glory were not without their toll. The constant need for expansion, the pursuit of rival warlords, and the ever-present threat of rebellion within his own lands wore on him. It was Lady Sun, ever the steady and wise partner, who helped guide him through the darkest days, offering counsel when he was weary, and providing him with the clarity to make difficult choices. The expansion of Sun Tzu's domain was one of the most ambitious aspects of his reign. He sought to secure the southern region of China from the Yangtze River to the southern coast and to establish the Sun family as a dominant force in the realm. But each conquest brought with it new complications. The southern territories were not easily subdued, and Sun Tzu faced stiff resistance from local warlords, rival families, and even members of his own forces who questioned his methods. In one of the most significant struggles of his early reign, Sun Tzu faced a rebellion within his own ranks. A group of discontented generals, unhappy with his growing power and control over the southern territories, conspired to overthrow him. This rebellion, though ultimately quashed, posed a serious threat to Sun Tzu's authority. It was at this moment of crisis that Lady Sun's influence proved to be invaluable. While Sun Tzu was embroiled in the military and political aftermath of the rebellion, Lady Sun worked tirelessly to quell any further unrest within the court. She reassured key allies, forged new alliances with influential families, and ensured that the loyalty of Sun Tzu's remaining supporters was solidified. Her efforts helped to stabilize the Sun family's rule during a time of intense internal strife. But internal rebellion was not the only challenge that Sun Tzu faced. As his power grew, so did the ambition of other warlords in the region. Cao Cao, still the most powerful figure in northern China, continued to look toward the south with desire, hoping to expand his influence and bring the southern lands under his control. Sun Tzu, ever the pragmatist, knew that he could not afford to ignore Cao Cao's growing strength. Yet, Unlike his predecessors who sought direct confrontation, Sun Tzu understood the importance of biding his time and building his strength before facing such a formidable foe. Lady Sun's role in this period was not just that of a loyal wife but also a skilled political strategist. While Sun Tzu focused on military campaigns, Lady Sun worked tirelessly behind the scenes to maintain diplomatic relations with neighboring factions. She knew that alliances with other regional powers, particularly Liu Bei and his forces in the west, were vital to ensuring that Sun Tzu could face Cao Cao with a united front. It was Lady Sun who negotiated and mediated between the different factions, often acting as a bridge between Sun Tzu and his allies. Her diplomatic efforts ensured that the Sun family's alliances remained intact, preventing any defection or betrayal that could have jeopardized their position. One of the most significant diplomatic triumphs of Lady Sun's tenure came when she helped broker a crucial peace agreement with Liu Bei. Though the two men had fought together in the Battle of Red Cliffs, their alliance had always been fragile, held together by the common goal of defeating Cao Cao. After the battle, tensions between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei began to grow, particularly over the division of territories. Lady Sun's keen understanding of both men's ambitions allowed her to step in and mediate the conflict. She arranged a series of meetings, where both sides could voice their concerns and reach a mutual understanding. It was Lady Sun's ability to navigate these delicate negotiations that helped prevent a rift between the two warlords. The peace agreement forged in these meetings ensured that Sun Tzu's rear would remain secure, allowing him to focus on consolidating power in the south. While Sun Tzu's military and diplomatic strategies were central to his success, it was the trust and support he received from Lady Sun that provided him with the emotional and psychological strength to continue his campaigns. The burdens of leadership, the endless responsibility, and the constant threats to his rule weighed heavily on him. Yet he could always count on Lady Sun to offer him the clarity and perspective he needed to persevere. She was not just his wife but his confidant, his sounding board, and his strongest ally. Despite the constant challenges and the never-ending threat of conflict, Sun Tzu's victories continued to mount. He managed to consolidate his hold on key territories along the southern coast and the Yangtze River, expanding his kingdom's reach and solidifying the foundation of what would eventually become the Eastern Wu dynasty. But even as Sun Tzu's successes grew, Lady Sun knew that their greatest challenge was yet to come. The political landscape of China was shifting, and the warlords of the three kingdoms were positioning themselves for the ultimate struggle for supremacy. It was at this point, as Sun Tzu's power reached its height, that the young warlord's health began to deteriorate. The years of war, stress, and relentless campaigning had taken their toll. Sun Tzu was plagued by illness, and his once indomitable spirit began to weaken. Yet, even in these final days, Lady Sun remained by his side, offering him the same unwavering support that she had throughout their shared journey. As Sun Tzu's health declined, Lady Sun found herself increasingly assuming the role of the primary figure in the Sun family's leadership. She was not yet the official ruler, but her influence over Sun Tzu's decisions grew stronger, and she began to play a more prominent role in guiding the future of the family. Her counsel became more vital than ever as Sun Tzu's health deteriorated, and she began preparing the next generation, particularly Sun Quan, to inherit the leadership of the family. Though Sun Tzu's reign was ultimately cut short, the legacy of his rule and the foundations he laid for the Sun family would endure. It was Lady Sun who would help carry that legacy forward, ensuring that the family's influence would not diminish after Sun Tzu's death. Her quiet strength, wisdom, and unwavering support for her husband played an integral part in the successes that Sun Tzu achieved, and it would be her guidance that would help secure the future of the Sun family in the years to come. As Sun Tzu's power grew in the south, so did the ambition of his greatest rival, Cao Cao, the warlord who had unified much of northern China. Cao Cao's vast resources, his strategic brilliance, and his powerful army made him a formidable foe to anyone who sought to challenge him. The northern warlord had long set his eyes on the southern lands, believing that to truly consolidate his power, he needed to bring the Yangtze River basin and its fertile territories under his control. For Sun Tzu, this ambition represented a direct threat to the future of his family and kingdom. Though Cao Cao's military might was undeniable, Sun Tzu's strength lay in his ability to unite allies and inspire loyalty among his generals. He had already secured his southern kingdom with a mixture of force, diplomacy, and strategic alliances. But the looming threat of Cao Cao's forces meant that Sun Tzu could not afford to rest on his laurels. He knew that the time had come to prepare for a potential clash that could decide the fate of the southern region. Despite his growing strength, Sun Tzu was not foolish enough to ignore the scale of the challenge he faced. Cao Cao's forces vastly outnumbered his own, and the northern warlord was known for his ruthlessness and military prowess. Sun Tzu understood that he could not defeat Cao Cao by strength alone. He would need allies, and in this moment of rising tension, Lady Sun's diplomatic acumen would prove to be pivotal in navigating the dangerous waters of inter-warlord politics. One of the most significant aspects of the rivalry between Sun Tzu and Cao Cao was the shifting balance of alliances. Cao Cao, knowing that Sun Tzu's control of the southern region was crucial to the consolidation of his own power, sought to create fractures within Sun Tzu's ranks. He attempted to sow discord between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, whose forces were based in the western regions. The fragile alliance between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei, forged in the fires of the Battle of Red Cliffs, was already beginning to show signs of strain. Liu Bei, a warlord with his own ambitions, was not always content with the territorial arrangement that had been made after the battle. He sought more land and power, and Cao Cao sought to exploit these tensions. It was at this moment of potential division that Lady Sun's political skill came to the forefront. With the threat of Cao Cao's manipulations, she worked tirelessly to maintain the fragile alliance between Sun Tzu and Liu Bei. While Sun Tzu was preoccupied with military preparations, Lady Sun engaged in diplomatic efforts to ensure that Liu Bei remained a trusted ally. Her efforts were key in preventing a breakdown of their alliance, which ultimately helped ensure that Cao Cao's plans to divide and conquer failed. Lady Sun knew that diplomacy was not enough to counter Cao Cao's growing threat, and she also recognized that military strength would be required to defend the Sun family's southern kingdom. With Cao Cao's forces advancing ever closer to the Yangtze River, Sun Tzu had to act quickly to shore up his defenses. Lady Sun's role during this time was not just in diplomacy, but also in managing the internal workings of the kingdom, ensuring that everything from supply lines to morale remained intact. She organized the distribution of resources, helped maintain the loyalty of key generals, and coordinated with local leaders to ensure the stability of the region. But as Sun Tzu faced the rising threat of Cao Cao's forces, another powerful figure loomed on the horizon: Yuan Shao. A northern warlord in his own right, Yuan Shao had once been a formidable opponent to Cao Cao, but his defeat at the Battle of Guandu left him weakened and divided. Though his forces were not as powerful as they had once been, Yuan Shao's ambitions had not been extinguished. He too saw the southern territories as ripe for conquest, and he began to maneuver for influence in the region. Lady Sun was keenly aware of the challenges posed by Yuan Shao's ambitions, and she recognized that a divided northern front could offer an opportunity for Sun Tzu. While Sun Tzu focused on military preparation for an eventual confrontation with Cao Cao, Lady Sun began to quietly explore potential alliances with Yuan Shao's faction. She knew that by keeping Yuan Shao distracted in the north, she could buy time for Sun Tzu to build his strength in the south. She was a master of balance, using both diplomacy and intelligence to manipulate the political dynamics in their favor. Lady Sun's diplomatic efforts were not only about securing alliances with distant warlords, but also about maintaining the stability of her own kingdom. She kept close ties with generals and local officials, ensuring that the political structure of the Sun family's domain remained firm. When internal factions within Sun Tzu's ranks began to grow restless, it was Lady Sun who stepped in to mediate disputes and calm tensions. Her political influence was felt across the kingdom, and it was through her efforts that Sun Tzu's reign remained stable even as external threats loomed larger. Throughout this period of tension and uncertainty, Sun Tzu's leadership remained resolute. He prepared his forces for battle, reinforcing key fortresses and training his troops to fight with the same zeal that had won them victory at the Battle of Red Cliffs. Yet, despite his preparation, Sun Tzu knew that he could not fight the war alone. The alliance with Liu Bei, cemented through Lady Sun's diplomatic efforts, was more important than ever. Sun Tzu's forces, while formidable, were still smaller than those of Cao Cao. Together, however, Sun Tzu and Liu Bei had a chance to stand against the northern warlords' overwhelming might. As the conflict with Cao Cao loomed, Lady Sun's influence remained a steadying force. She continued to play a vital role in the family's affairs, maintaining the loyalty of the generals and advisors, and keeping Sun Tzu focused on the ultimate goal, the survival of their family and the consolidation of their power. But even as Sun Tzu prepared for the military conflict that would define his reign, it was clear that the future of the Sun family lay not only in the outcome of the battles fought on the field, but in the diplomatic and political maneuvers that Lady Sun so skillfully orchestrated. Lady Sun's role during this period was emblematic of the delicate balance that defined her life. She was not only a wife and mother, but a political force in her own right, shaping the future of her family, guiding her husband through the labyrinth of diplomacy and power struggles, and ensuring that the Sun family remained a powerful and influential force in the Three Kingdoms. The sun of the Southern Kingdom rose higher as Sun Tzu, having secured control over the Jiangdong region, began to realize his vision for a unified kingdom. In the years following the Battle of Red Cliffs, his ambitions grew, driven not only by the need to protect his family and territory from northern threats, but also by a deeper desire to carve out a lasting legacy for the Sun family. He envisioned a powerful, independent kingdom that would rival the other two great powers of the Three Kingdoms, Wei to the north and Shu to the west. But the path to such an ambitious goal was fraught with peril, and it would require not only military might but political wisdom, strong alliances, and a vision for governance that could hold the region together in the face of constant external and internal challenges. While Sun Tzu's military campaigns and expansionist policies were well known, it was Lady Sun who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to solidify the foundations of their nascent kingdom. Her involvement in the kingdom's development was not limited to managing the internal stability of the Sun family's holdings. She was also instrumental in shaping the political, cultural, and economic systems that would allow Sun Tzu's vision to take root. Lady Sun was particularly adept at balancing the competing demands of military conquest and governance. As Sun Tzu expanded his reach, conquering more territories and securing strategic locations, Lady Sun worked to ensure that these new regions were integrated into the Sun family's political structure. While Sun Tzu's armies fought on the front lines, Lady Sun was at the forefront of managing the daily affairs of the kingdom, overseeing the administration, ensuring the loyalty of local officials, and making sure that the infrastructure needed to support the growing kingdom was put in place. Her role in the political and social development of the region cannot be overstated. In addition to maintaining control over the military aspects of the kingdom, Lady Sun was deeply involved in the establishment of a stable government that could keep the growing population of the region content and productive. She oversaw the appointment of trusted officials to key positions, ensuring that corruption was minimized and that the interests of the Sun family were protected. Through her influence, she promoted a sense of unity within the kingdom, even as the various factions and peoples who had been brought together under Sun Tzu's rule tried to retain their distinct identities. Sun Tzu's vision for the kingdom was not merely about power for the sake of power. He envisioned a society where the ruling family's influence extended beyond the battlefield and into the lives of the common people. Under Sun Tzu's rule, the region saw a rise in trade and economic growth, which in turn bolstered the Sun family's position. However, these economic advancements could only thrive in a stable environment, one that Lady Sun worked tirelessly to create. Her diplomatic efforts not only kept alliances intact but also helped to foster a sense of shared destiny among the people of Jiangdong. She was deeply involved in the development of policies that encouraged trade, agriculture, and the cultivation of local resources. By ensuring that the kingdom was economically prosperous, Lady Sun helped to ensure its long-term survival and prosperity. At the same time, Sun Tzu and Lady Sun were also deeply aware of the importance of culture and identity in maintaining power. As part of their broader efforts to solidify their control, they worked to foster a distinct cultural identity that would unite their kingdom. Lady Sun, ever the strategist, recognized that one of the keys to this unity was the promotion of loyalty to the Sun family. The people of Jiangdong, though they were often bound by local allegiances and traditions, would need to see the Sun family as the central pillar of their identity if the kingdom were to stand strong in the face of future threats. One of Lady Sun's contributions to the cultural development of the region was her active support of the arts and education. Under her guidance, the Sun family's court became a center of intellectual and artistic activity. She recognized that a kingdom founded on military power alone could not endure in the long term. It was the development of a cultured, educated elite that would carry the Sun family's vision into the future. Lady Sun supported scholars, poets, and artists, fostering an environment where culture could flourish alongside military strength. Her patronage of the arts was also a subtle way of cementing her own legacy as a ruler in her own right. Not just as the wife of Sun Tzu, but as a leader in her own capacity. The relationship between Sun Tzu and Lady Sun during this period was one of mutual respect and shared vision. Sun Tzu, with his ambition and military brilliance, focused on the expansion and defense of the kingdom, while Lady Sun worked to ensure that the internal structure of the kingdom was solid and sustainable. The success of Sun Tzu's military campaigns was important, but it was Lady Sun's careful management of the internal affairs of the kingdom that ensured the longevity of their dynasty. As the southern kingdom took shape, Sun Tzu's successes began to draw the attention of other warlords. Yet, while many saw Sun Tzu's rise as a threat, others recognized the benefits of forging alliances with the Sun family. The growing influence of the Sun family was not limited to military might, it was also in the political savvy of both Sun Tzu and Lady Sun that the kingdom became a formidable force. The strategic marriages that Lady Sun had arranged, the alliances that had been formed, and the political network she had helped to create were all vital elements in the Sun family's rise to power. But with the kingdom taking root and Sun Tzu's vision coming to fruition, there were still great challenges ahead. The northern warlords, particularly Cao Cao, remained a constant threat. Even though Sun Tzu had built a kingdom in the south, the instability of the times meant that his rule was always at risk. Lady Sun knew that the struggle for dominance in the three kingdoms was far from over, but she also knew that their kingdom had one key advantage: the unity and loyalty that had been forged through years of careful diplomacy, wise governance, and a shared sense of purpose. Lady Sun's influence remained crucial as Sun Tzu moved to consolidate his power. In the face of mounting threats from rival warlords, Lady Sun's political maneuvering was essential in keeping the kingdom stable. As the southern kingdom flourished, Lady Sun's legacy began to take shape. She was not only the mother of future rulers but the architect of a dynasty that, under the leadership of her son, Sun Quan, would endure long after her husband's death. As Sun Tzu's power solidified and the foundations of the Sun family's kingdom were laid, new challenges began to emerge, not from external forces, but from within the family itself. The struggle for control and influence among the members of the Sun clan, particularly between Sun Tzu and his younger brother, Sun Quan, became a delicate issue that could have threatened the future of the Sun family's empire. Sun Tzu, though young and brimming with ambition, was already a seasoned leader, having fought for years to expand and stabilize the southern territories. His military acumen and bold decisions on the battlefield earned him the loyalty and respect of his generals and allies. Yet, despite his achievements, there were signs of internal tension within the family. Sun Quan, though still a young man, had his own aspirations, and his abilities were not to be underestimated. The question of succession loomed large, as Sun Tzu's health began to deteriorate and the future of the Sun family hung in the balance. Lady Sun, ever the astute and careful strategist, was acutely aware of the brewing tensions within her family. She knew that, despite their shared history and blood ties, the ambitions of the Sun brothers could lead to conflict. It was not just about military power, it was about the future of their dynasty. For the Sun family to survive, there needed to be unity, a unified vision that could carry their legacy forward. And it was Lady Sun who worked tirelessly to maintain that unity, ensuring that family loyalty prevailed over personal ambition. Sun Quan, as the second son, had always been a quiet and reflective presence, often overshadowed by his older brother. While Sun Tzu had the boldness and charisma to command armies and forge alliances, Sun Quan had a more measured, thoughtful approach to leadership. Lady Sun recognized that, despite their differences, both brothers were crucial to the Sun family's future. She understood that Sun Quan's ability to lead would one day be essential, but that day was not yet here. Sun Tzu, despite his health issues, was still the rightful leader, and Lady Sun worked to ensure that Sun Quan's loyalty to his older brother remained unwavering. There were moments, however, when the tension between the brothers threatened to spill over into open conflict. Sun Tzu's bold leadership sometimes clashed with Sun Quan's more cautious approach, and as Sun Tzu's health worsened, there were growing fears that the transition of power could lead to instability. Lady Sun, ever the peacemaker, intervened during these times of discord. Her diplomatic skills were crucial in navigating the delicate dynamics between the brothers, ensuring that their rivalry did not undermine the stability of the Sun family. One such instance occurred when Sun Tzu's health took a turn for the worse, and Sun Quan, seeing the increasing likelihood of his brother's death, began to assert more authority in matters of governance. Lady Sun recognized the growing rift and worked swiftly to mediate between the brothers, emphasizing the importance of loyalty and unity. She reminded both men of their shared legacy and the sacrifices their father had made to build the Sun family's power. She knew that for the Sun family to endure, both brothers needed to work together, rather than letting their differences divide them. Lady Sun's wisdom and diplomatic skills were tested to the fullest during this period of family tensions. She was not just a mother and wife, but also a leader in her own right, keeping the Sun family united through the most difficult of times. Her ability to balance the competing ambitions of her sons, while also maintaining the stability of the kingdom, was essential. She worked to ensure that the Council of Generals and Advisors remained loyal to Sun Tzu and, in turn, to Sun Quan when the time came. Her efforts to foster a sense of unity within the Sun family prevented the rift between the brothers from escalating into a full-blown crisis. However, Lady Sun's efforts were not without personal sacrifice. As Sun Tzu's health deteriorated, she found herself taking on an increasingly active role in the governance of the kingdom. She ensured that Sun Tzu's wishes were honored while also preparing Sun Quan for the eventual transfer of power. The weight of this responsibility was immense, and though she remained composed on the surface, Lady Sun struggled with the emotional toll of preparing for her husband's death and the potential challenges that would follow. The loyalty of the Sun family's generals was also a crucial factor in maintaining stability during this uncertain time. Lady Sun worked closely with key military leaders to ensure their support for Sun Quan's succession. She knew that the generals' loyalty could not be taken for granted, and she worked tirelessly to strengthen these bonds. Her diplomatic efforts to secure the loyalty of influential figures within the Sun family's military ensured that, when Sun Tzu passed, Sun Quan would have the backing he needed to assume leadership. But the transition of power was not without its difficulties. As Sun Tzu's health worsened, the question of succession became even more pressing. Sun Tzu himself, aware of his impending death, began to make preparations for his younger brother's ascension. He trusted Lady Sun to guide Sun Quan through the transition, knowing that she was the one person who could maintain the unity and strength of the Sun family. Lady Sun, with her quiet strength, began to prepare her son for the challenges he would face as the future leader of the Sun family. She worked to instill in Sun Quan the lessons that had made Sun Tzu such a powerful leader: the importance of loyalty, the necessity of unity, and the need to make decisions with both boldness and wisdom. Sun Tzu's death marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Sun family. Though his reign had been relatively short, he had left a lasting legacy. But as Lady Sun knew, the road ahead would not be easy. The Sun family's future rested on the shoulders of Sun Quan, and Lady Sun's role would be to guide him through the turbulent years that lay ahead. The internal tensions within the family were not yet resolved, and Lady Sun's influence would be critical in ensuring that the Sun family remained a powerful force in the Three Kingdoms. The days grew long and heavy in Jiangdong as Sun Tzu's health began to fail. His once vigorous frame, which had led armies into battle and commanded vast territories, grew frail under the weight of his illness. The young warlord, who had dreamed of a powerful southern kingdom to rival the north, knew that his time was drawing to a close. The inevitable end loomed large, and with it the fate of the Sun family hung in the balance. But as Sun Tzu prepared for the end of his life, he had one thing to hold on to: the certainty that his legacy would not die with him. The question now was whether the kingdom he had fought so hard to build would endure beyond his death. It was in these final days that Lady Sun's role became more critical than ever. The transition of power, always a delicate matter in any kingdom, was now an urgent necessity. Sun Tzu, aware of his impending death, began to prepare for the future. His thoughts were on his younger brother, Sun Quan, who would one day inherit the Sun family's kingdom. Though Sun Tzu had always been the dominant figure in their relationship, it was clear that Sun Quan had his own strengths. Though quieter and more measured than his elder brother, he possessed the wisdom and patience that could make him a great leader. But as the time for Sun Tzu's passing approached, there was still uncertainty about how the family would handle the transition. The Sun family had fought together for years, and the loyalty of the generals and key officials was crucial to the kingdom's continued survival. Sun Tzu had no doubts about Sun Quan's abilities, but he also knew that Sun Quan would need Lady Sun's guidance to navigate the turbulent political waters that lay ahead. Lady Sun, ever steadfast and wise, took up the mantle of her husband's legacy during this delicate time. She worked tirelessly behind the scenes, ensuring that Sun Tzu's final wishes were honored and that the transition of power was as smooth as possible. Her diplomatic skills, honed over years of negotiating with warlords and managing alliances, were now put to the test. Her influence within the family and with the military leaders was unparalleled. She knew that Sun Quan, despite his quieter demeanor, had the potential to carry the Sun family's legacy forward, but he would need the support of his family, his generals, and his allies to do so. The generals, who had long respected Sun Tzu, now turned their eyes toward Sun Quan. Would he be able to command the same loyalty from them? Would his leadership bring the same stability to the southern kingdom? These questions hung in the air, and it was Lady Sun who worked behind the scenes to ensure that Sun Quan's ascension was met with the support and unity that the family so desperately needed. In the days leading up to Sun Tzu's death, Lady Sun played the role of both protector and mediator. She ensured that the Sun family remained united, preventing any internal divisions that could undermine the succession. She had already been the glue holding the Sun family together during times of conflict, and now, with Sun Tzu's passing imminent, her leadership was more vital than ever. Her role as both a wife and a mother gave her the authority and respect she needed to command the loyalty of the family and the military leaders alike. On the day that Sun Tzu passed away, the kingdom mourned. His death marked the end of an era, the loss of a warlord who had fought so fiercely to carve out a place for the Sun family in the fragmented world of the three kingdoms. Yet as the mourning took place, Lady Sun remained resolute. She knew that Sun Tzu's death was not the end of their journey. It was merely the beginning of a new chapter, one that would be written by Sun Quan, with her guidance. As Sun Tzu was laid to rest, Lady Sun turned her full attention to the future. She gathered the family's generals, advisors, and trusted allies to ensure that Sun Quan would be supported as he ascended to leadership. Her first priority was to secure the loyalty of the military leaders who had stood by her husband's side. She called upon them to swear loyalty to Sun Quan, promising to serve him with the same dedication and respect they had shown to Sun Tzu. Though the generals were saddened by Sun Tzu's passing, they understood the importance of unity. Lady Sun's calm and commanding presence reassured them that the Sun family's legacy would endure through Sun Quan. Sun Quan, though still young, was ready for the challenge ahead. Under Lady Sun's watchful eye, he began to take on more responsibility in the governance of the kingdom. He sought the counsel of his mother, who had guided him throughout his childhood and adolescence, and he listened intently to the lessons she had imparted. Lady Sun encouraged him to be patient, to take his time in building alliances, and to lead with both wisdom and strength. She reminded him that the kingdom's success would depend not on force alone, but on the loyalty and trust he could cultivate within his family and his people. Though Sun Quan had always respected his mother, it was during this transition that he truly began to understand the depth of her influence. Lady Sun's steady leadership and political savvy had been crucial in maintaining the Sun family's power. And now, as Sun Quan prepared to step into the role of leader, her wisdom became his guiding light. She reminded him that the survival of the Sun family was not guaranteed, that every decision he made would have far-reaching consequences. With her support, Sun Quan gained the confidence to step into his new role with determination and grace. As the days passed, Sun Quan took on more of the duties that had once been Sun Tzu's. His leadership, while different from his older brothers, began to show promise. The Sun family's grip on the southern territories remained strong, and with Lady Sun's continued guidance, Sun Quan began to earn the respect of the generals and the people. It was clear that the Sun family's future was in capable hands, and though the loss of Sun Tzu was deeply felt, there was hope for the future. Lady Sun, though deeply mournful of her husband's passing, found solace in knowing that the Sun family's legacy would continue. She had guided her son through the most difficult transition, ensuring that Sun Quan was prepared to face the challenges of leadership. Her influence, both in the court and in the military, had been instrumental in the family's survival. And she knew that Sun Quan's success would depend not only on his abilities but on the strength of the foundation she had helped build. With Sun Ce's death, the Sun family was thrust into a period of transition, one that would test not only the strength of their military but also the unity of the family that had fought so hard to build the Southern Kingdom. Sun Ce's untimely passing left a void that could not easily be filled. Yet, in the quiet strength of Lady Sun, the family found the anchor they needed to weather the storm that followed. Sun Quan, though now the legitimate leader of the Sun family, was still young and relatively inexperienced in the ways of leadership. His elder brother, Sun Ce, had been a formidable warrior and a bold leader, and it was no simple task to follow in his footsteps. Sun Quan, however, had the wisdom to understand that he needed guidance, and it was in Lady Sun that he found the support he needed to rise to the challenge. The early days of Sun Quan's reign were fraught with tension. Though Sun Ce had forged powerful alliances and commanded respect across the southern lands, there were still rival factions, both internal and external, that posed threats to Sun Quan's newly ascended rule. Cao Cao, the powerful warlord of the north, remained a looming threat. The battle for control of China was far from over, and Sun Quan knew that to maintain the Sun family's hold over the south, he would need not only to build on his brother's military foundation but also to strengthen the political alliances that Sun Ce had carefully cultivated. It was during these formative years that Lady Sun's influence was most felt. She, more than anyone, understood the intricacies of leadership. Her diplomatic skills, honed over years of negotiation and alliance building, were now passed on to Sun Quan, who relied heavily on her advice. While Sun Quan was busy consolidating power and focusing on military defense, Lady Sun worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that Sun Quan's rule was stable and that the support of the family's generals and allies remained intact. Though Sun Quan had the potential to be a capable leader, the political landscape was fraught with challenges. As Lady Sun had long understood, loyalty could be fleeting, and alliances could turn into rivalries with the slightest provocation. The southern territories, though firmly in the Sun family's hands, were not fully secure, and it was clear that Sun Quan would need to continue to earn the trust and loyalty of both his family and his military leaders. Lady Sun knew that she had to preserve the fragile unity within the Sun family. The transition of power had left scars not just within the kingdom but among the family itself. While Sun Quan had inherited the leadership of the Sun family, some family members remained loyal to Sun Ce, and they viewed Sun Quan's rise with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Lady Sun's first task was to prevent any factionalism from developing within the family. She reminded the generals and the council of advisors of their shared commitment to the Sun family's vision and the legacy left by Sun Ce. Her steady presence served as a stabilizing force, a reminder that the Sun family's strength lay in their unity. Lady Sun's role, however, was not limited to maintaining political stability. She also recognized that Sun Quan's success depended on his ability to handle the growing political complexities of the three kingdoms. While Sun Quan focused on military strategies, it was Lady Sun who worked on forging new alliances and strengthening existing ones. The Sun family's relationship with Liu Bei, a crucial ally from the Battle of Red Cliffs, needed to be carefully nurtured. Sun Quan, although cautious in his dealings, understood the importance of this relationship, and it was Lady Sun's diplomatic efforts that ensured that the ties between the two warlords remained strong. But Lady Sun was not blind to the potential threats that remained, particularly from Cao Cao. The northern warlord, though temporarily occupied with his own internal struggles, would soon turn his attention southward again. Lady Sun, always thinking several steps ahead, understood that it was not enough to rely on Liu Bei alone for protection. She knew that Sun Quan would need to form new alliances, not just with warlords but also with local leaders and officials who could solidify Sun Quan's control over the south. She began to work behind the scenes, leveraging her influence to secure the loyalty of these regional powers, ensuring that Sun Quan's kingdom would remain fortified. The task of securing Sun Quan's rule was further complicated by external pressure. The kingdom of Wu, which Sun Tzu had established, was still a young kingdom, and it was vulnerable to attacks from the other two major powers, Wei and Shu. Lady Sun's deep understanding of politics and her ability to see the big picture allowed her to advise Sun Quan on the importance of maintaining a balance between diplomacy and defense. She encouraged him to adopt a strategy that combined military preparedness with the strengthening of diplomatic ties. Even as Sun Quan began to emerge as a capable leader in his own right, he continued to rely on Lady Sun for guidance. She not only provided counsel on political matters, but also helped guide him through the intricacies of managing the Sun family's internal dynamics. The generals and advisors who had sworn loyalty to Sun Tzu now had to reaffirm their allegiance to Sun Quan. Lady Sun, always the quiet architect of the family's success, worked to ensure that these key figures felt secure in their loyalty to the new ruler. Over time, Sun Quan grew into his role, and with Lady Sun's steady guidance, the southern kingdom began to flourish once again. The political alliances that Lady Sun helped to solidify during this time were crucial in securing Sun Quan's future. Though the threats from Cao Cao and other regional warlords remained constant, Sun Quan's leadership was increasingly seen as legitimate and strong. Under his rule, the Sun family was able to carve out a lasting place in the power dynamics of the three kingdoms. Lady Sun's role as the mother of the future ruler was central to the Sun family's success. She had prepared Sun Quan to take on the mantle of leadership, and now, as he took his place at the helm, she could rest assured that the legacy of Sun Tzu would continue. Yet, even in these later years, Lady Sun remained an influential figure in the Sun family's court. Her wisdom, political acumen, and steady presence were irreplaceable. And though Sun Quan had come into his own, she continued to advise him as the kingdom navigated the complex world of the three kingdoms. As the years passed, Lady Sun remained a constant presence in the Sun family's court. Though Sun Quan had matured into a capable and respected leader, he continued to seek the counsel of his mother, the woman whose wisdom had guided him from his childhood through the most turbulent days of the Sun family's rise. Lady Sun's influence, both in the governance of the kingdom and in the shaping of her son's leadership, could not be overstated. Her actions had secured not only the Sun family's survival but its continued dominance in the three kingdoms. Sun Quan's reign, though challenged by internal and external pressures, became more stable as he grew into his role. The Sun family, once a fledgling force in the south, had transformed into one of the three major powers of China. Through careful diplomacy, military strength, and an unwavering sense of unity, Sun Quan managed to solidify the foundations laid by his late brother Sun Tzu and supported by the tireless work of Lady Sun. But with the passing of the years, Lady Sun's role began to change. She, who had once been the backbone of the Sun family's early rule, was now the elder stateswoman, the matriarch who had lived through the rise and fall of kingdoms, the death of her husband, the ascension of her son, and the transformation of the Sun family into a legacy that would endure for generations. Lady Sun's vision, her careful attention to both politics and family, had woven a tapestry that held the Sun family together through the most precarious of times. As Lady Sun approached the twilight years of her life, she knew that her time was limited. Yet, she was at peace, knowing that the family she had helped build and sustain would live on through her son. Sun Quan, though his leadership style had been different from his brother's, had proven himself to be a leader worthy of the Sun family's legacy. Under his rule, the southern kingdom remained a force to be reckoned with. Secure in its position as one of the three dominant powers in China, Lady Sun's influence on Sun Quan was evident in the way he approached leadership. While Sun Tzu's brash, fearless nature had shaped the early days of the Sun family's power, Sun Quan's more measured and thoughtful approach bore the marks of his mother's guidance. He understood the importance of loyalty, diplomacy, and, above all, unity, values that Lady Sun had instilled in him since he was a boy. It was through these principles that Sun Quan was able to maintain the stability of the Sun family's kingdom, ensuring that the empire they had fought so hard to build would not crumble in the face of adversity. Despite her advancing age, Lady Sun continued to offer counsel to her son and his advisors. Though no longer physically active in military campaigns or political negotiations, her wisdom was still sought by those in power. Her understanding of human nature, Her ability to navigate the intricacies of politics and her unwavering dedication to the Sun family's future made her an irreplaceable presence. Her role, though less visible, was still vital, and she remained a stabilizing force within the Sun family for as long as she could. In her final years, Lady Sun spent much of her time in quiet reflection. The tumultuous battles, the political struggles, and the years spent building the Sun family's legacy were now behind her. Her heart was filled with pride as she saw her son standing at the head of the family, a testament to the strength of the foundation she had helped build. Though there were still many challenges ahead for Sun Quan and the Southern Kingdom, Lady Sun knew that her work, and that of her husband and sons, had ensured the survival of the Sun family in the pages of history. Lady Sun passed away peacefully, her life a reflection of both sacrifice and triumph. She had been the steady hand behind the rise of the Sun family, a silent architect of their success. Her influence would be felt long after her death, not just in the Sun family's continued dominance in the Three Kingdoms, but in the legacy of a woman who had helped shape the future of her country through diplomacy, wisdom, and love for her family. Sun Quan, though devastated by the loss of his mother, took solace in the fact that Lady Sun's legacy would live on in him. He remembered her lessons to lead with wisdom, to build alliances with care, and, most importantly, to keep the family united. As Sun Quan continued to rule the Sun family's kingdom, he did so with a quiet strength and resolve that reflected his mother's guidance. The Sun family remained a prominent force in the Three Kingdoms, its legacy cemented by Lady Sun's influence. The story of Lady Sun is one of quiet power, of a woman whose influence stretched far beyond the traditional role of a wife and mother. She was a political force in her own right, a strategist, a diplomat, and a matriarch who guided her family through some of the most tumultuous periods in Chinese history. Her legacy is a testament to the strength of women who, though often behind the scenes, shaped the course of history with their intelligence, diplomacy, and love for their families. Lady Sun's story is not just the story of a mother and a wife, but the story of a woman who shaped the destiny of a kingdom and whose influence endured for generations.